Foul. Bucket. Count it and one. Some Shea sizzle here on the fourth. The lead is 13.
Wasn't always pretty for SGA at OKC, but they get it done in Game 1. Welcome to Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T. Nabil Karim alongside Brendan Haywood and Steve Smith. We've got complete post-game coverage coming up here. We're going to hear from the players and coaches at the podium. We'll take you there live when they do get there. But first, I mean, that first half, you see both teams real tight. But in the second half, OKC, they completely changed the game.
Yeah, and offensively, they really got things going, but what stood out to me is what they've been all year long and why I think they will eventually be champions this year is because their team defense is elite. They're one of those teams that can go out there, figure out a way how to shut you down. When the offense isn't going, when shots aren't falling, they can depend on their defense. They have active hands. They have multiple bodies that can get out in passing lanes, and they have size. I thought that size was huge. Because when you look at what Minnesota has done throughout the first two rounds of these playoffs, anytime Minnesota wanted to, they could run to the front of the rim on teams like the Lakers. They had no size. Jackson Hayes wasn't being played in that series. Against the Golden State Warriors, they could run right to the front of the rim anytime they wanted to. Against this OKC team, Chet Holmgren was in there making a difference. Hartenstein was in there using his body. You saw a couple plays where Julius Randle was trying to go through him and just there was nowhere to go. This is a different level of defense, and Minnesota found that out tonight firsthand.
13 steals, by the way, for OKC in this game.
It is. What Brendan is talking about, the steals, the block shots, the active hands, but I think we both agree their closeouts was unreal. To be able to close out and also take away shots, not just contest. We've always talked about that's a good contest. They were closing out with so the Minnesota Timberwolves wasn't even getting a chance to get a shot attempt. What I love is they finish defensive plays. Most championship teams, you talk about the first 10 seconds in the shot clock, but the last 4 seconds, they finish the defensive assignment all the way through where they're getting stops, rebounds, and I think they got 2 24-second shot clocks in this game. That team defense is next level.
Yeah, it is impressive. OKC 114-88 winners. Let's hear from Chris Finch, who is at the podium.
Yeah, I think we didn't have a lot of patience in the second half, and then our rushed offense, didn't get a bunch of quality looks, and then it affected our defense. Honestly, we got some fouls early, which I thought made us a bit softer than we needed to be, and then it was just then when we did get good looks, they didn't go down. So.
You mentioned the defense became a little softer. Was that the main issue in your eyes on that end of the floor in the second?
Yeah, I think it was, like I said, our offense affected our defense, and that can't happen. And so.
Chris, the amount of good looks it seemed like you had from three. I mean, how do you feel just about?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of good shots out there. I think, we got to clean things up a little bit. Sometimes the passes were late. Sometimes we weren't quite shot ready. Sometimes we need to turn them into other plays, But I did think that we got a number of really good looks, and we really couldn't connect when the game was kind of turning against us. So.
And Julius was great in the first half, and then did they just really kind of load up on him in the second half?
I didn't see necessarily anything different. That's on me. I got to get him the ball. I got to get him more involved to start that second half. So,
Coach, it seemed like coming in this game again, you guys have really put a lot of pressure on the rim in the first two series, and then kind of in game one of this when you guys only had 20 points in the paint. What would you say, just from your vantage point, was the biggest thing that kind of hindered from you guys being able to do that?
Well, they got 5 guys in the paint at any given time, so
Chris, the bench, specifically Dante and Nas, didn't have a great series before. Is it just a matter of them being cold tonight, or what do you see there?
Yeah, a little bit of that. Like I said, we had some good looks. I thought we had some rushed looks too, and then but we got to do a better job of repeating the things that we know we can find out there, and getting a better rhythm, and those shots will go in. So.
Chris and Jaden, he was pretty good when he did get the shots. Does he need to get a little bit more involved in what's going on?
Yeah, I thought he turned down a bunch of looks at times in the second half, I thought he turned down some looks in the second half. So, but yeah, 5 shots is probably not enough for him.
Chris, Rudy gets the 2 fouls in the first minute of the game comes out. How much of his performance tonight do you think was about him maybe getting out of rhythm with that versus what he could do more of to give you more production?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about, obviously 2 fouls in a minute and 38 seconds or whatever it was into the game. I thought the second one was a little, unforgiving. I thought it was certainly but yeah, I mean, we weathered that storm pretty well. I just kind of wanted to go with a more small skilled lineup, when we got down to see if I could change the complexion of the game. As Rudy was a -2. He was actually one of our better plus-minus guys. So, it's nothing Rudy did or didn't do tonight. It was just got some early foul trouble, and then I tried to do something else. So.
Finchie, forgive me if I missed this in the beginning, but Ant's ankle, was that bothering him? Did you talk to him about it? I know he came back in, and then was it 4 fouls?
He said it was a bit sore at halftime, but he said he would be fine. So yeah. No, we didn't talk about it yet. So.
Coach, could you sense some of the frustrations that some of your players had with some of the calls that Shea was able to draw?
Yeah, there was a lot of frustration out there, but we talked about that before the series started. We have to be able to kind of put that aside and get on with the next play mentality. So,
Chris, that was the fewest 3-pointers the Thunder's attempted in a game this season. Mm-hmm. How did you defend them that sort of led to that, or is that something you were trying to do?
I mean, I don't know. I think they were getting downhill, so they weren't really looking to kick out a whole lot. So I'm not sure how much it was on us. So.
Talked about maybe making some plays out of some of those kickouts. You talked about maybe making some extra plays out of those kickouts. The 51 threes, a lot were good looks, but I mean, would you like to see a little bit more variance within the offense?
Yeah,
there?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought for the most part, we got some good looks, but I thought some were rushed, as we talked about, and some were kind of, guys when they're struggling to shoot, sometimes they want to just see one go in, and we definitely need to. Find a rhythm in this series. Every series is a little bit different, how people guard you and whatnot. And, I thought we came out and tried to play the same way we always did, and that wasn't going to work tonight. So, we got to figure out, kind of a different rhythm to play. So.
Chris, you had a tough shooting night in Game 1 against the Warriors, but you guys were able to bounce back really well in that series. What do you draw from that, if anything, in this series right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's Game 1. They won at home. Congrats to them. They played really well. There's another game in 2 days. So,
what would you have liked to see more of? You talked about how to find different ways to play offensively. Like, what in your mind are things that you can do offensively?
We got to pick up our decision making. We definitely got to play with more force. We got to play with more, pass combinations, and we got to go somewhere a little bit quicker. So,
does a packed paint sometimes cause some indecision? I guess when you look at what's in front of
you. I think a little bit more, a lot of useless ball screens for me. It was less about the packed paint. We kind of created our own congestion at the top of the floor unnecessarily. So that's something we need to look at. So.
Any other questions? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep. All right, so a lot of self-inflicted wounds, according to Coach there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you watch the way Minnesota, I think, like we said earlier, it'll be a tough game for them, being off, but also take that away and say, look at how they played. They're going to have to find a way to move the basketball, move bodies, and obviously move the OKC defense around. I mean, if you're going to try to attack it right at the bigs, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big adjustment from this team, and I think also Minnesota's going to have to get after it a little bit more defensively, maybe junk up their defense, and they don't have to find a way to get some more just straight post-ups. I mean, you're not going to beat them off the dribble. These guys rotate and everything. You're going to have to start inside and then maybe kick out for threes, but it's not going to start from the outside.
I think you're right. I think you're definitely going to have to maybe run some post plays for Julius Randle or Naz Reid to get closer at the basket, play from inside out. Yep. Because when you look at the three-point shots and what Minnesota was doing from behind the three-point line, especially coming off the bench, I mean, Naz Reid, 0 of 7.
Mm-hmm.
Dante DiVincenzo, 3 of 12. Nikhil Walker-Alexander, 2 of 9. That's just like that's just not going to cut it when you're playing on the road against an elite defensive team. And some of those shots were open shots, and some of those shots were contested. But at the end of the day, if you're going to take that many threes from that crew coming off the bench, you're going to have to hit a higher percentage, and you're going to have to go back, look at the film, and say, how were we generating these threes? When we got downhill, what type of looks? Did we make the right reads? Do we need to change some things up? Maybe throw some post plays in and try to get our threes, throwing it inside and then moving it around the perimeter that way. But there will have to be some changes made because those three-point numbers really aren't going to cut it when you're playing against an elite defensive squad.
Julius Randle was great in that first half. Really, yes. In the second half, goes 3 of 5, and you heard Chris Finch say it there. We got to find a way to get him more shots. How did they do that?
I mean, Julius is a guy that you don't have to find a way to get him shots. He's always hunting shots. But a lot of that is I like what they were doing against Golden State, where they were just putting him at the elbow and letting him make decisions because he's really a good passer, too. Yes. It's an underrated part of his game. So when you put him at the elbow, like we were talking about in the pregame, now it's a really quick read. Jab, I shoot, one dribble, get to the rim, and if you cut it off, you know he's great with that spin move. Simplify things for him. Put him at the elbow. If they're going to guard him with guys like Caruso and some of these smaller guys, don't have Julius Randle trying to drive from the three-point line all the way to the paint. Put him at what we like to call the nail area, which is right at the free throw line. Let him get his ISO, and then when a double comes, he has a lot easier chance of finding that weak side guy.
How would you assess, Smitty, what you saw from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this game?
I thought he was very aggressive. I think he came out with the mindset is, I'm going to set the tone, and obviously missed shots. But I think it had him the team so aggressive watching him, the other guys picked it up because the way he set the tone is, I'm going to come at you guys, and it didn't work as far as field goals made for him. But I thought he was the more aggressive player to start this game, and he continued that. And obviously you look up and you say, 10 of 27. We're not used to those numbers from him.
Right.
Because we're used to 12 for 18.
Yeah, efficiency.
11 for 16.
Yeah.
But had one of those games. But I think if you look at the second half numbers, it was because of the result of his mindset and the determination and how he wanted to set the tone in the first half. I thought it was a great game. I mean, that's not a great game for his shooting, but the W and 14 free throw attempts, he set the tone tonight.
It's incredible how he can just get to the line so effectively. Say what you want. I know a lot of people say things online, but his ability to get there and 11 of 14 in this game.
A lot of it comes down to his ability to read defenses. He really slows the game down. It's simple for him. He doesn't complicate it.
Nope.
I see a lot of guys doing a lot of dribbling and he's just going to get to his area, jab step, one dribble, pull up, throw his shoulder into you, nudge you off balance, pump fake, get you in the air. You reach in there, he sees that, goes in there, he goes through your arm. He just understands how to play in tight quarters, and he draws those fouls. Some people call him a foul merchant, whatever. I think he's a guy that understands how the game is being officiated, and he understands how to get those calls.
Big reason why Jaden McDaniel's fouling out of this game in 24 minutes. Here's Mark Dagnall at the podium.
Mark, Nick Gallo, OKCThunder.com. Mark, the defense seemed to just keep you in it in the first half, and then you guys were able to continue to turn it up and get the offense going in the second half. What did you feel throughout that first half in terms of the pressure you all were able to put to just keep you in it long enough?
I thought that was the game, for us, to play as poorly as we did offensively in the first half and to be down 4 was a major victory for us at halftime. And the defense was a huge catalyst in that. I thought offensively, it's a very different series. It's a very different team stylistically, and I just thought it took us some time to calibrate that. They're a lot more pressure-oriented on the perimeter. They're a lot more physical on the perimeter. Denver, plays you at a lower pickup and packs it in. Their physicality is different, but this team is really up the floor, pressuring and really after you. And so I just thought it took us a second to calibrate to the opponent, but our defense allowed us the margin to do that, obviously.
Mark, you and Shai have been in a handful of series now together where he's been, the first option. Like, what have you seen from him as far as the way he processes a game from quarter to quarter up until the point where, maybe it's time for him to sort of close a game?
Yeah, he keeps himself in it. He's got a great emotional temperament. I've always marveled at that about him. He was 2 for 13, I think, at halftime or at one point in the game. and he just keeps himself in it. He doesn't get emotional. He just plays the next play. I thought he was really in attack mode tonight. He did a great job of pounding the paint with the ball. He had a good blend, especially in the second half of his early passes. But, he was really driving it and putting a lot of pressure on them, which is what you have to do against that level of pressure and physicality.
And he said earlier in the year that going into the season that he stopped caring about his efficiency and that it almost made him feel like liberated, I think was the word he used. Do you remember seeing signs of that earlier this year? And I guess what has that meant for him during this playoff run?
Yeah, he's a great player that just stays present. If you're worried about your efficiency, you're worried about the past or the future. And he's, a very present player. He just plays the possession in front of him. He doesn't really change his game. He doesn't change his mindset. I thought that was on, full display tonight. And he was huge for us. And I thought him, Chet in the second half, Dub in the second half, there was just a different level that they went to, Caruso, from where they were in the first half. They did a great job in game of kind of turning the table.
Mark, you didn't play Kenrich many meaningful minutes in that Denver series. In fact, I don't think any meaningful minutes. But for him to come in the first half and then the defense he played on Julius in the second half, just what did he bring tonight and what did you like about the matchup with him out there?
Well, first of all, he hasn't played, significant minutes in a game since the last game of the regular season. It was 5 weeks ago. And the amount of invisible work that it takes to keep yourself that sharp to be able to go in a playoff game like that in the Western Conference Finals and perform the way he did, the invisible work shows up there. That's unbelievable. Consistency, professionalism, mental toughness, all that stuff. And I truly believe that it breathes life into the team when they see a guy not play. He was a huge contributor for us this season, and he didn't play really in the first two series, and he just puts his head down every day, keeps himself ready. And then to go in and deliver like that was a huge energy boost for us. Our energy was not where it needed to be in the first whatever amount of that game, and he changed it. And in the second half, he really changed it. So, huge credit to him. It just shows everybody what we already know about him, but that was a big-time performance.
Coach Mark Spears, ESPN Landscape. One day off after a 7-game series, one day to prepare. This team is rested. Just so many ways for error for you guys. How did you overcome those challenges for a victory?
Yeah, I thought it was great mental toughness, and I thought it started in the first half, like I said, to play that poorly offensively and to not get knocked out was huge. We lost the rounds, but we didn't get knocked out. And I just thought, like I said, we're going from one opponent that plays very different stylistically on both ends of the floor to an opponent that is way more free-flowing on offense and way more physical and pressure-oriented on defense. And I just thought it took us a minute to calibrate to that. And the guys did a great job of just staying in it mentally, long enough for the game to turn for us.
Yeah, the fourth quarter with Chet kind of was a slog early, but fourth quarter, I think he had 7 points, hit a 3. He's on the boards offensively. That kind of help you put the game away.
He was big time, and I didn't think he played his best in the first half, like a lot of guys on the team, and he just kept himself in it and really got engaged in the game, and he was part of a huge run there. I thought being able to go to K-Rich the way we did and get him a blow and then come back to him fresh at the end of the third was huge for Chet, and so it just shows the downstream effects of depth. And I thought it helped him tonight, but he was really ready to rock when he went back in there.
It's another game where you guys have more than 30 points off of turnovers. Obviously, that starts at the defensive end, but why do you think you guys are so successful converting turnovers into buckets, and how much does that kind of buy you time or allow you to overcome early muck in the half court?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened tonight. We were mucky in the first half, and our defense was a huge catalyst. And the turnovers are never that's not what we talk about. We talk about our crowd. We talk the crowd around the ball, and we talk about being aggressive in our help. Trusting our help, trusting our speed, trusting our teammates, and that tends to yield turnovers when we really have that going. But it also yields tough shots and non-rhythm shots, and so that's what we're trying to do. But the guys did a great job of drumming that up really from the jump. And then as we gained energy in the game, it obviously amped up as we went along.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. 27 threes is the lowest amount you took in the regular season in a game. Tonight you took 21. Just thoughts on what led to that?
I mean, we took a lot in the paint tonight. I don't know what the number was, but probably took 50 shots in the paint, so we weren't replacing them with bad shots. I mean, we were on the gas in the paint, and aggressive driving the ball, so I liked our blend tonight. I thought the ones we took were good. We missed some passes to the three. We probably could have took more. I thought we missed some passes, especially in the first half. But like I said, it's a new opponent, and we're used to playing Denver. Like we've been playing Denver for 2 weeks. So it took us a second to calibrate that, but we got better as the game went along, and now we have to get better as the series goes along.
Anthony Slater with The Athletic. Chet obviously had that big stretch to open the fourth. He was the only center. If you like, Hartenstein and Gobert didn't play in the fourth at all. What is your early read on just kind of the landscape for the centers in this series?
It's hard to know. These series shift so quickly. Every game's different. Every team is constantly trying to problem solve and find new ways to gain advantages. They're going to do that. We're going to do that. Gobert's a huge factor in the series. Obviously, he's somebody that we have to be aware of on both ends of the floor. And we're going to need all of our guys. All those guys are live, but tonight that's just kind of how the game unfolded. And it's a good weapon for us to be able to downsize like that.
Mark, one of the things you've mentioned about this team is that everyone sacrifices for this team. As you guys continue to get deeper into the postseason, how have you seen that continue to show up?
I mean, Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe tonight, you can't not play, the way those guys, Isaiah Joe's minutes got cut last series. K. Rich didn't play. You can't play that little, for a series, 2 weeks, be that ready to play if you're not in the right frame of mind and not in a team frame of mind. And those guys, to their credit, they're the ultimate professionals, and, real leaders in that way, and it breathes a lot of energy into the team and a lot of life into the team. And, it's hard not to sacrifice if you're a teammate of those guys and you're watching them do that, and Jay Will just helped us win the Denver series. He didn't play tonight, so it works the other way too. And, he'll keep himself ready and we'll need him probably at some point in this series too.
Yeah, Mark, they've been one of the better teams in the paint in the postseason. Only 20 points tonight when they've been averaging 52 for the postseason. How much of that was a focus for you guys? And then with Julius Randle, you talk about the give and take of defense, and he had it going offensively and from the 3-point line in the first half. Second half, not so much because you kind of took that away. And then particularly from the paint, he's been also one of the better guys in the paint in the postseason. Just talk about how you guys were able to take that away also.
Yeah, I mean, he's, first of all, what a half he had. That was impressive. The shot making, the one he made from deep, I was just like, man, this guy is going right now. But I thought we did a good job of amping up our ball pressure on him, understanding that he had it going. I thought the guys adjusted well to that in the game. And with the paint stuff, it just goes back to our help. You gotta trust your help. You gotta be in there. Fortunately for us, we have team speed, so we can be in there and still get out to our guy. And him and Edwards and Reed are guys that if you don't do that, they can really have their way with you. So I thought the guys did a really good job of doing that tonight.
Coach, was that foul on Randall at the end of the half significant? And how did you defend him better and continually through the game? I guess Ant-Man ended up, I think, with 5 field goals. Just wondered your philosophy in defending them.
I thought we did a good job on them. I thought, like I said, it takes guys on the ball and it takes guys in the help. Great players and great offensive players, you can't defend them with one defender. You got to defend them as a team. That's been a strength of us all season. I thought we did that tonight, but this is a really, really good team that's got great resolve. These are great players. They have a great coach tactically, so they're going to have, the next pitch that we're going to have to hit, and, we are aware of that, so we got to get to work. Yep, thanks.
All right, so we've heard from the coaches. The stars are next. We've got Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander all coming up on Playoff Central Live. Okay, let's hear from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who finished with 31 points in OKC's Game 1 win.
Shai, what'd you feel about that third quarter and the way that you all came out? Of course, defensively still with that same edge, but offensively able to find your spots, you and Dub.
Yeah, we haven't had the greatest of third quarters this playoff run so far. We want to make that emphasis, like come out of halftime with a punch, with a little jolt, with some energy, and not ease into it. We'd be better off towards the end of the game. We just made that emphasis, and we didn't panic. Obviously, with the struggles in the first half, we missed a bunch of layups as a group. We missed free throws, like the easy ones, and we knew that we stuck with it. They would eventually fall, and they did.
Shea, you've played a handful of series now as a first option. What have you sort of learned about how to process a game from quarter to quarter, how you value each quarter up until maybe the point it's time for you to close a game?
Yeah, it's always a chess match out there. Like, you go out there, you have a base coverage, you have something that you want to start with, then you see how the game goes, and then you just read and react and adjust from there. They make a move, you make a move. Like, it's back and forth, and it's going to be like that throughout the series. They're a really good team. They'll make adjustments. They'll get better for sure. We have to continue to get better as well.
As far as the back and forth, it seemed like early you were trying to set that line of like what sort of physicality could go, what couldn't, and the shots you would take with that. What sort of changed from half to half as far as the calls you felt like you got and what you wanted to shoot?
I don't know. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. I was just out there being aggressive, trying to get to my spots. Obviously, it wasn't falling like it usually does and like I would like it to. It's part of the game. Nothing really changed in my mindset. I just try to continue to be aggressive, continue to trust my work, and it worked out for me in the second half.
Yeah, Shea, Mark was just in here talking about how a guy like Kenrich, who didn't play in last series, coming in, breathes life into the team. And not just him, Isaiah Joe. First off, do you agree with that assessment? And then what does that do for you guys on a night like where your shots aren't falling?
Yeah, absolutely. Every series is different, and every game in every series is different. Different matchups. You need different things for different opponents. So, like, our readiness as a group has been special, and we're gonna need it the further we go. But those two guys were nothing short of who they've been all year. Like, guys who play one night, not play the next night, play 30 minutes a night after that. Like, they are always ready. They know what they bring to the team, and they go out there and do it at a high level. And then that's why they were ready for their moment tonight. But yeah, we don't win this game without those two guys, and hats off to those two guys. And those two guys are who they've been all year, and that's tough to do through the ups and downs and the emotions of like playing and not playing. So yeah, hats off to them too for sure.
Yeah, Shea, Mark was talking about how he thought it took you guys a little time to recalibrate with the different style of opponent. Did you feel that at all during the game, that you have to remind yourself, oh, this isn't Denver anymore?
It felt different from jump. They're more like pressure oriented. It feels like a little more physical. But at the end of the night, it's basketball. They throw you a problem and you have to solve it, whatever it looks like. And that's what it is every night. And that's what it was tonight. They had different coverages, different personnel out there, and we have to attack it and work together as a unit to solve the problems out there. And we did that tonight, especially in the second half.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. Shay's kind of a follow-up to that question. Specifically, what did it feel like going from playing 7 games of a lot of zone defense, to playing against man defense in this game?
Yeah, usually in the NBA you see man, and we're comfortable playing man, and the zone was a wrinkle, but it ultimately made us better for sure, and we can feel that. By the end of the series, we were attacking it way better. We knew what we were getting to. And the possession that they threw zone out there, we got a dunk like right away. Like, you could just feel us getting better at it. And that's what it's all about. That's what the first game of the season is about. That's what the first game of the playoffs is about. That's what the last game of the playoffs is about. Like, just continuing to get better through the experiences, and you'll look up and be where you want to be. And that's all we can control. Like, can't control what they throw at us. We can just control how we attack it and how we approach it. And that's what we did. That's what we did last series. And this series will look different, and we'll do the same thing.
Shea, you mentioned that this team didn't panic. You've been a leader of this team for a while now, but how would you describe what that process has been like of leading by example?
Yeah, it's just true to my personality. Not always the loudest guy in the room or say too much, but my energy and effort and what I put on the floor speaks louder than anything. And that's just how I try to not only like go about the game, but go about life. Like actions always mean louder than words to me, especially. So that's just how I go about it.
Shea, the defense kept you guys in the game early on before your offense could really find a hold. With the way you guys were forcing turnovers, do you think there's some correlation between them launching as many threes because maybe they didn't feel like they could bring it into the teeth of the defense, and is that kind of the strategy you guys had, was forcing them to kind of do things out of character?
Yeah, I have no clue what they were thinking. I don't know how to answer that one. We try to play to our identity on both ends of the floor, and then just read and react from there. I don't know. I can't answer that one for you. But yeah, we try to play to our identity defensively, and we did a good job of that. And the defense definitely gave us life early in the game and kept us in it for sure.
Shea, Game 7, Kaysen sets a career high in the playoffs for assists. Tonight, he's got 7, a new career high in assists off the bench. What are you seeing from him as a playmaker for you guys, and being able to facilitate for others?
Yeah, Queso played point guard in high school and college. You guys, you might forget that. This is his role in the NBA. But he's a really good basketball player. He knows how to play, he knows how to read the game. And we're seeing him grow as the games go on, and that'll continue for his whole career. He's a guy that soaks things up quickly, has a great feel out there on both ends of the floor. And the sky's the limit for Queso. I've said that before. He's a really good player.
Yeah, you guys didn't play the two bigs together as much as you usually do. Went small a fair amount and still held them to 20 points in the paint. How were you able to keep them from doing any kind of real damage in the paint?
Yeah, Chet Holmgren, first and foremost. Really good rim protector. Hardenstein as well. But something that coach has done all year is just mix up lineups throughout the season. And I think it has us ready and prepared for moments like tonight, where the matchups are different than they were the past 7 games, and we're going to need a different lineup to adjust. And for us, it was seamless because we've done it all year, and that's something that he preaches. He doesn't want us to get too set in stone in our lineup because of nights like tonight and matchups like we've seen recently. And I think that's just part of our DNA now.
Oh, yeah, Shea. Anthony Edwards shot, I think, 5 of 12 through 3 quarters. He only shot 13 times tonight, 0-1 in the fourth quarter, did not score. From your perspective, was it just him just not being as aggressive in the fourth, or was it something that you guys were intentionally doing to stop him?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. Good player though. He'll play better than he played tonight. It's a long series. We just got to be ready for whatever.
Shea, you guys took 21 threes tonight. Those are the fewest you've taken all season by 6. What are some of the things that led to that?
Just us playing basketball. I don't think we ever focus on what type of shots. As long as they're good ones, we try to let them rip. And I guess the threes, that we had less good threes tonight. But I don't know how to answer the question. We just go out there and play to our strengths, and whatever the night looks like, it looks like.
How big did you think Chet was to open that fourth quarter? And then what is kind of your bigger picture view on his season and how he's kind of had to, I guess, reintegrate back to a moving ship?
Yeah. Chet was great. When he's his best version of himself, we're the best version of ourselves as a unit. It's no surprise. He affects the game at such a high level. From the moment he was on this basketball team, our win column went up, and it's no surprise. He affects the game every night, every possession at an extremely high level. And I think it's gone under the radar a little bit how hard it is to be a guy and then sit out for a couple months and have to integrate yourself into a team has the best record in the NBA and not step on nobody's toes, but also still be yourself. That's a super hard position to be in, and the way he's handled that has been special. And I don't know if he gets enough credit for that. He's a special person and a special talent, and he's the reason why we are what we are today. No.
All right, moving on to Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, what did you feel like was working
Crazy. And what did you feel like was working offensively for you guys in this game, when it was working and when the offense got a little stuck? What were you running into?
What was working? Just making the right play, taking out shots. Yeah, I think that was pretty much what was working in the first half.
Julius, in the first half, I think he had 20 and really aggressive. Shot was going in. Did they adjust to you at all in the second half? Or what changed for you half to half offensively?
I don't really think they did anything different other than just try to run me off the 3-point line a little bit. That was really the only thing different. Their defense is the same. They're heavy gaps, boxes and elbows. So I don't really think they did anything different. They just tried to get me off the 3-point line, off my catch and shoots, and that was it.
Getting downhill, and both of y'all, question for both of y'all. Getting downhill is kind of me, strong suit, from the last two series, and even just, kind of you guys' identity. What did you feel like, with their size coming into this matchup was the biggest adjustment that you guys had to make, given that you guys only had 20 points in the paint this game, coming off of, 72 versus Golden State in Game 5?
They clog the paint. That's what they do. They don't got much size down there, so they bank on us not making shots, I guess, because every time I go to the rim, it's like 4 people in the paint. So, yeah, I guess they just be clogging the paint. They put like 4 bodies in the paint, make you kick it out. So just keep making the right play.
Julius, what do you think changed defensively for you guys in the second half, or was it just a matter of them hitting more shots in the second half?
The first half, what was it, 48-44? So, it wasn't like it was a shootout in the first half, So it's just, even if we're not making shots, we still got to defend at a high level. And, we gave them 32 in the third, and then the fourth, it got away from us, obviously, and gave them 38. But whether it's misses or makes, we still got to defend at a high level. And I think that was probably the difference in the second half. Obviously, we didn't shoot the ball as well as we wanted to tonight, but regardless of that, we really held them to 100 points into the end of the game. Obviously, where they made some baskets, so we gotta defend at a little bit better level in that third quarter.
And Dante was saying in the locker room that it seemed like they were throwing different looks at you guys every other possession on offense. Just how did it make it hard for you to read, or hard for the team to read, or just how did you kind of process their defense?
Hard to process because he's right. It was different. It was different every time. Heavy in the gaps. Sometimes trap the ball screen. Sometimes don't. Sometimes just run and jump. It's kind of similar to like AAU. They remind me of like an AAU defensive team. Just run and jump, fly around. So it was pretty good. Good to get it out of our system in Game 1. So we'll be ready for Game 2. We should be ready.
Seems like one of the turning points in the game was when Jaden got his third and fourth fouls early in the third quarter. Did his absence affect you guys on either end of the court, do you think?
Yeah, hell yeah. He's the best defender we got, and they usually put the 5 on him, and we play through him in the pocket. And he makes the right play over and over again, and he's super aggressive. So when he's not on the floor, it definitely hurts for sure.
Is there anything about their style of play that is wearing over the course of a 48-minute game where, maybe you can handle it in the first half, but they keep coming with that style? It gets tougher as the game goes on?
No, not really. I definitely got to shoot more. I only took 13 fucking shots, but I'll say probably just get off the ball a little more, play without the ball. I think that'll be the answer, because playing on the ball, they're just going to double and sit in the gaps all day. So got to go watch some film and pick it apart. We'll figure it out.
Did your ankle affect your shooting at all?
Julius and just mentioned that, it's good to get it out in Game 1. It was kind of a similar situation against the Warriors. What do you draw from that, if anything, the way you guys were able to bounce back against them and take that series?
We proved that we can do it, but we got to make it happen too. You know, we can't just be like, all right, we did it last year, so, you know, I mean, we're going to do it again. Like, this is a great team. They've been playing great basketball all year. So, I mean, good thing is we proved to ourselves that we can do it, but, you know, we got to make it happen.
And I know you said that the ankle's not bothering you, but of those 13 shots, you only took one in the paint all night. Is that more just the defense that they're throwing at you, or you seeing something different, the explosiveness? That's not what we're used to seeing from you.
Yeah, they're just in the gaps. Yeah, it was kind of hard to get to the paint, honestly. I mean, regardless of that's my game, but they definitely took that aspect of my game away tonight from getting downhill. So good job to those guys.
And then Naz Reid said in the locker room, he just felt like he liked the shots that he was getting, that Dante was getting, that Nikhil was getting. They just weren't falling. So as the two guys are sort of the leaders of this group, do you say something to them after this, or is it just keep shooting?
Yeah, they good. They know. They got great looks. Just couldn't make them. A lot of them went in and out. And that's going to help us. That's going to help me and Ju, you know, because they usually make those shots, so we're not really worried about them making shots. Yeah, they'll be all right.
Julius, was it as simple as they started making shots and you guys had trouble making shots? What was the difference from the first half to the second half?
I mean, yeah, that. You know, I said it before, our defense in the second half, you know, giving them, 35 a quarter, you know, we can't do that. You know, I'm always going to hold myself accountable. 5 turnovers is way too much. I can't do that. So, I mean, we can say it's misses and makes, and it is a miss and make league, but regardless, we got to defend at a high level, and especially on the road. So, yeah.
And this is only your guys' third loss of the postseason. I remember after the first loss against the Lakers, you said you were a little bit confused. Remember there was like, oh, it's like a zone. After the loss against the Warriors, you said you understood post-game. You're like, I understood what I need to do next game to apply it. Where are you kind of on that spectrum? Like, do you feel like you know what the answers are to attack it? Next game? Yeah.
I feel great. Yeah. Yeah, just in the gaps and double team all day, so should be all right. Play without the ball a little more, get a little more cardio in. Should be good.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards, not sweating it. No, they got to make some adjustments in game 2 as OKC with that huge second half taking the opener. All right, let's get to the full highlight of this game. The first one of this year's Western Conference Finals, the two superstars, SGA, and we begin with Ant-Man right there, getting the step back over Chet. SGA getting the foul. Then Anthony Edwards takes the dead ball, chucks it at him.
Same thing will laugh and make you cry.
Well, later on, SGA was real aggressive from the get-go in this game.
Yes, he was. And I like J-Dub getting out in the passing lanes. He had 5 steals in this game. He was a thief.
Back to Edwards here. Kind of a scary moment when you first saw it, right?
Yeah, he turned it. It's just been that same exact ankle, but knowing him, he'll be back.
Right. Did leave for a short period of time, but obviously did return. Julius Randle, man, his first half was outstanding.
Oh, it is. His 3 ball has really been going. I mean, his entire offensive package has been fantastic. You said he'd be back, Smitty.
A little later on, it's Ant-Man.
God, look at the deep threes Randle is shooting. He's shooting that thing like a young Steve Smith.
Edwards hitting the 3, and then go for the monster dunk right here.
Whoa, way to grab that arm. Hey, man, we've seen him turn that down many occasions.
In the third, OKC really took over.
Yeah, in the third, OKC exerted their dominance offensively, defensively. Watch out. Don't make him touch earth. Don't do that, SGA. MVP.
Mike Malone, so.
Hey, don't do that. Mike Malone know better than that, too. He was bogus for that. Funny how you forget. Mm-hmm.
In the second half, I mean, the Thunder just got so comfortable.
They know where they're going, the spacing, and also there's no wasted movement from their guys. It's downhill.
Chet.
Okay, Chet.
15 points, 7 rebounds.
Round we go. How's the Haywood?
Hey, maybe not, but it was still a nice dunk though. I like what Chet was putting down out there. He had a really strong game on both ends.
You know SGA is giving you 30. 31 to be exact in this game.
And this was tough right here. Taking the contact while going down to the ground, still has the touch to get it up there on the rim, Smitty.
And then Jalen Williams.
That's beautiful move and pass. Go get it.
19 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals in the game as OKC, having their highest scoring second half of the postseason, put up 70 points. They were plus 30 in that second half and take game one, 114-88, your final. Taking a look at the series schedule, game 2 going on Thursday, followed by game 3 and 4 Saturday and Monday. But let's take a look at game 2 as we look ahead. I mean, what does Minnesota have to do here? Because we heard Ant-Man, we heard Julius Randle. They didn't seem obviously worried. They said we have to make some adjustments. What are those adjustments?
There are adjustments. There's conversation. There's film, and also understanding now. But one thing, if you watch the difference on pick and rolls with SGA on offense and the OKC Thunder, I mean, Minnesota's defense, they have a lot of drop coverage.
Right.
When you look at the opposite side, it's like it's 3 guys standing up against the line. They are going forward. They're pressing forward. So they're going to have to find a way to play inside out. They have a big enough guys, and Nas, and you talked about it, and Julius Randle. Same with me with Anthony Edwards, catching it more below the free throw line. Double comes, you play out of that. But you got to get off the basketball, and if when you do, you can't stand, you got to cut. You're going to have to make them move.
Yeah, Julius Randle had a really strong game. He had 28 points. I'd like to see him used a lot more in the mid-post. Throw that ball to him. Let him get in that area, especially when he has some of those smaller guys like Caruso on him. Let him get in that area, 1 dribble, 2 dribbles away from the basket, create a problem. And then when the double teams come, it'll be a lot easier for him to find guys on the strong and the weak side because you look at OKC, they had 13 steals tonight. You cannot allow them to turn you over and fuel that offense, especially in that building.
Yeah, 19 turnovers in this game for Minnesota, leading to 31 points for OKC. That is big stat. In game 1, as OKC, again, taking it 114-88. Cannot wait for the Knicks and Pacers. That gets going tomorrow. Playoff Central Live will continue then.
Man.
You back or no?
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, man.
You back tomorrow?
Yeah, man. Y'all back?
No.
Just me?
Just
hey, man. Come on, man. I'm about to check the schedule.